Do you feel like your jazz solos just don't sound like real jazz? So I used to get stuck playing the right notes and the right chords, but the sound still wasn't right, until I found these 3 exercises that fixed my phrasing and rhythm. And they haven't just worked for me, they've helped hundreds of my students add jazz feel to their playing. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the 3 exercises that will help your solos and chords sound more like jazz. We'll start with rhythm and phrasing for solos and then move on to the chords. And finally, a simple way to add more storytelling to everything you play. Let's fix the #1 thing that makes beginner jazz solos sound stiff and mechanical. Too much focus on the right notes and not enough on rhythm and phrasing. Now, you know that feeling where you're playing a solo, trying to keep up with the chord changes, making sure every note is right, but when you listen back you think, why does this sound heavy and kind of boring? Here's the diagnosis. You're so caught up in thinking about the notes that you can't add interesting rhythm and phrasing. And this is a very common problem for jazz beginners. And the exercise I'm about to show you will help you fix it, but only if you do it the right way. This is a very simple exercise that will force you to focus on what really matters. Limit yourself to just 2 notes per chord. Now, why does this work? When you take away the stress of picking notes, your brain is free to experiment with rhythm, dynamics, and phrasing, the real ingredients of jazz feel. Now, for the first 4 bars of There's No Greater Love, you could start with this. Don't underestimate how much you can do with this, even if it's very simple. Let's break down the process and then I'll talk about some of the common mistakes that you definitely want to avoid. Step 1, before you start playing, go through the song and pick the notes so that they're next to each other from chord to chord, because that makes it easier to play sort of melodic connections and something that really makes sense once you start improvising. You should also choose notes that really sound like the chord, at least in the beginning. That makes it a lot easier to hear melodies. And that means, of course, using chord tones. But don't use wide intervals because they're difficult to make melodies with. So 3rd and 7th are not a great choice here. Step 2, play them through the song so that you know which notes go where and can hear how they sit in the song and the chords. Now, this is especially important if you're new to jazz. Step 3, now you improvise. So the goal is just to solo with the 2 notes until you get bored. You want to challenge your imagination and force yourself to make the solo interesting by using other things than note choice. So work with rhythm, but also dynamics and phrasing. Taking away note choice from your solos can be very powerful in developing other parts of your playing, but watch out for these common mistakes. Mistake number 1, the 2 notes are an interval and you don't have to play it ascending all the time. Try to start with descending phrases as well. And remember that even if I'm only demonstrating this on the first few bars of the song, this is something you really want to do on the entire song. Mistake number 2, don't change the notes all the time or each chorus. So I see this fairly often with students in my courses, and it can be an okay exercise, but you really end up going back to focusing on notes rather than melody, rhythm, and phrasing, which was the original goal. Mistake number 3, don't get jazz dynamics wrong. When students first hear about dynamics, then they think in the bigger moving lines going from a whisper to a scream, but in jazz, the most important dynamics are inside the line as accents on individual notes. Often, when you see students get started with dynamics, they make everything dramatic like Italian opera. But what you should focus on is the dynamics inside every line that you play in the solo. They are what add the rhythm. Once your solos start to feel better rhythmically, it's time to fix your chords. Exercise 2 is about the 2 most powerful notes in jazz harmony and how they help you turn chord symbols into music, not just shapes. Did you ever sit down to play through a song only to feel stuck trying to remember big, complicated chords? Maybe you know the grips, but they don't flow and you can't do anything with them when you're playing through the song. Now, I know that big, rich voicings are fun, but the truth is, if you want your comping to log in with the groove and have the right rhythms and flow, then big chords are not flexible enough. But there is a specific type of 2-note chords used by all the pros that is unbeatable for leveling up your rhythm. And later, I'm gonna show you how they are great for melody as well. Let's start with the rhythm. For beginners, I always recommend using shell voicings, just the root, 3rd, and 7th. On the song, that sounds like this. B flat major 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, and G7. But you can make your chords even more flexible by leaving out the root. So. And this is, by the way, the best way to learn to use rootless voicings. If you take the B flat major 7, So you kind of see the 3 notes that I'm playing right now, but in reality you're just playing the 2 top notes. Then everything is still connected visually. Let's focus on rhythm and how you can use these 2-note chords to really lock it in. Step 1, start by playing the 2-note chords through the song. Now this helps you just learn where everything is and makes the chords easy to play. Step 2, so next, try out different rhythms as you play through the song. Now since these chords are simple, you can focus on practicing a rhythm pattern all the way through the song. For example, try this exercise, and after that I'll look at a specific rhythm that takes a bit more effort, but is also very important. Step 3. Now let's talk about anticipation. This is a big part of what gives jazz its energetic, syncopated feel. All you do is play the chord just before the bar on the forehand of the previous measure. It might feel a bit strange at first, but it's a huge part of the jazz sound. Here's how you can practice it. Working on exercises like this will help you bring these rhythms into your comping. But of course, rhythm is only one side of the story. The 2-note voicings are also a fantastic starting point for adding melody to your comping. Let me show you. Comping without melody isn't really music. You want to add a melodic flow to your comping. Otherwise, it's impossible to have those small conversations with the soloist and the rest of the band. Now, most people forget that melody has 2 parts, the notes and the rhythm. And you've already got the rhythm down, so now let's add melody. The key is to keep things easy to play. The moment it gets difficult, your rhythm falls apart and your melodies won't make sense. So let's start simple. For these 2-note shell voicings, just add melody notes on the B string. So the chords, like this B flat major 7, already have a melody note with the top note on the G string. So here that's a D. And you can also add 2 notes on the B string. In this case, the F and the G are both easy to play. Remember that the goal is to really keep this easy so that you can improvise with the notes. For the song, it would give you something like this. I recommend first going through the song rubato, so out of time, and just explore what melodies make sense across the chords. This way you'll discover how the notes fit together and what melodies you think sound good. From there, you can put it back in time and get something like this. But there's one thing you always need in your playing, whether you're comping or soloing, and that's a sense of story. You don't want your playing to be unrelated licks next to each other. Let me show you how to do that. Let's be honest, if you're just running through chord exercises and not actually playing songs, you're missing the point. And the same goes for soloing. If you're just looping a 2-5-1 or a turnaround without putting it into the context of a real song, you're not getting the full picture. But you are on the right track if you work as I suggest in this video, practicing on songs. Why is this so important? Because harmony is much more than just a 2-5-1 progression. You need to be comfortable playing all kinds of progressions in all kinds of contexts. And when it comes to telling a story with your playing, the form of the song is essential. A 2-5-1 in F major isn't just a 2-5-1. It sounds one way in a song that's in F major and completely different if it's in the bridge of a song in C major. You'll never learn these differences if you just loop a few chords, and the form is part of the overall sound and structure. When you practice real songs, you can lean on the flow of the harmony and the original melody to give your solo a true beginning and an end. The song's form is the first place you start building real storytelling into your playing. Did you ever wonder why the pros sound great with no effort? It's not just talent, it's how they practice. And if you're tired of noodling through boring exercises and getting nowhere, then check this out. In this next video, you'll get practice advice from legends like Wes Montgomery and John Scofield. And I'll show you a practice routine using real songs that make scales, arpeggios and chords click right into your playing. Check it out, learn jazz, make music.